after you hit that shot in 2016, damn, what if this was during the NIL era? You started the Kris Jenkins initiative. Basically, you're going around to colleges, high schools, talking about how to maximize NIL.
We have to educate them on, okay, listen, this is more so a business now than it's ever been. Because we don't want to hear about these stories about how guys went broke after 4 or however many years of NIL. Give the resources as well as the money.
Do you think the pendulum in NIL swung too far right now?
That's a great question.
Your big shot's coming, and they're paying you to do pop a shot in that thing, bro.
Hey, hold on. We might got to get David Buster's on here. Hold
on. Wait a second. Come on now. Arizek, come on. I got ideas too. Come on, champ. Let's go, baby. This is another episode of the Athletes and Assets podcast. I'm your host, Noah Lack, and I bring on your favorite athletes to chat about the business they're building. Today, we got my guy, former March Madness legend, Nova legend, my man, the myth, the legend, Kris Jenkins, founder of the Kris Jenkins Initiative. We'll talk a little hoops, a little NIL. Kris, how we doing, man?
Doing pretty good, man. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Man, there's going to be some real conversation coming today. But first, the first thing we do here is skip the small talk, man. I got to ask you this, man. Do you ever get FOMO not being on the Nova Knicks, or they got you there in spirit? Like, what's the deal right now? Because these guys just having a party over there.
Nah, yeah, it's great to see all those guys living out all the dreams that we had, carrying the Knicks, because for the most part, throughout my life, the Knicks have been pretty average. So to see those guys take the Knicks to a whole new level, we have high expectations for them. So we're all excited, and I'm happy for sure. I'm definitely going to be at a few games.
Do you feel like you know their plays without ever stepping into a practice? You just know what they're going to do.
I mean, I feel like a little bit, but, we all grew up, Josh and I grew up together. And then, we met Jalen and Mikal and everybody in college, Dante. So, we kind of have a great feel for just how we are as people and players. So, I kind of got a feel, but it's just so exciting. I'm watching like a fan, just like everyone else, for real.
Yeah. I mean, off the court, do you tap into their podcast?
No, absolutely. I definitely get a chance to check it out as much as I can. It's great content. I love to watch top tier content. So, I add them right there to the top of the list. Oh,
so you're subbed. You're subbed.
Yeah, for sure. We locked in. I'm locked in. Come on now.
Hey,
follow all that.
Hey, listen, this is the only time where I'll just actively promote another podcast platform, but we got to see you on there, huh?
Yeah, one of these days I'll get up there. I'm about to make a little run here coming up soon, so we're going to see.
Okay, I love that, man. I know that after you hit that shot in 2016, these days, how many times do you just sit in your room and damn, what if this was during the NIL era?
You want to know what, man? I find myself not sitting and thinking about what if this and what if that. I actually just, get on my feet and start making things happen. Getting on phone calls, starting to make connections, trying to meet as many people as I can, reaching back on those former relationships that I had growing up, and just trying to learn as much information about what's going on as much as I can, because there is an opportunity for former guys who missed out on our window when we were playing to come back and recoup some of the money, for sure.
I appreciate your attitude about it. I think you've had I've seen some stuff, and why do you have such a good attitude about sort of how everything is being handled? A lot of guys would mope around and be like, man, I should have been capitalized then. But your head seems pretty straight on.
I mean, yeah, because Coach Wright did a great job of teaching us a lot of things outside of basketball. And one of the things that he really taught us was attitude, which is a big word in the Villanova program. Because you can't really control the things that happen to you, but you can always control how you respond. And how you respond usually dictates, how things end up for you. Maybe not right then, but later on down the line. So it's always just about having a positive mindset, a working mindset, and realizing that just like everything in life, nothing is really handed to anyone. Still, you got to kind of grind and go out and get it. So why would we expect it to be any different, moving forward in life, post-playing career?
I mean, I appreciate that attitude is part of the Villanova pillar, but it's pretty much a part of every program but motherfuckers don't listen. That doesn't mean they adhere to the attitude.
That's true. That's true. You got a point right there.
I mean, I've seen it firsthand. So it's like Jay Wright certainly had a way of getting to guys.
No, for sure, man. He did a great job of relating to us. And those stories, you never forget because they resonate. Once you leave and you go beyond Villanova basketball and you start to experience certain things, you tend to look back on the stories and the things that you've been through to help you get through things moving forward. And you you have all those stories and those memories that you built up then that help guide you.
Speaking of Jay Wright, like the dude is a legend for retiring that early. I mean, I feel like he's on his Dwayne Wade vibes. Like he feel like he's still got more in the tank, but he's like, I did that, I'm good.
Nah, man, I feel like he's done. He's accomplished. I feel like what he wanted to. He's a national championship coach, Hall of Fame coach. I feel like, coming from this area, he grew up cheering and watching Villanova. So I feel like he had his dream job. So I feel like, he's in a good spot. I feel like he's done, honestly. I feel like it would have to be something like life-changing, which he's already in a good spot. But it would probably have to be something ridiculous to get him to come out of retirement.
I mean, I know they gave him a bag during March Madness, so I don't know if I don't know who else can compete with that. But listen, if NIL collectives are going out and getting Saudi money, then crazier things can happen.
No, that's true. Now, if that happens, it's going to be interesting to see because that's pretty. That's taking it to a whole new level.
That's insane, man. Do you still get out and play a little bit, or are you off? Like me, basically on the couch a lot?
Oh no. I still get out and hoop a little bit. My jump shot always gonna be cash, so that's never gonna change. I'll have that probably to the day that I die. But I definitely try to get out there and hoop a little bit, keep the cardio going. Basketball. I love basketball. Just because you don't play professionally or things like that, that doesn't mean that you still can't, play or get out there and shoot. Because I'm pretty sure, when it's time for me to have a family and stuff like that, I still want to get out there and show that I was decent when I could hoop.
Oh, man, sometimes you just got to pop out and you know the rest. You know what I mean? Like you got to remind them.
I'm not a crazy Kendrick fan, but I agree with that line. That's one line that stuck with me. Sometimes you do got to pop out and show them what's going on.
Yeah, no, for sure. And where are you based out of these days? Like, where's Kris Jenkins headquarters? And I'll set the stage for what you're doing next.
Philadelphia area.
Okay.
But I also Florida and spend a lot of time. So I would say between Pennsylvania and Florida, I spend a good amount of my time.
Okay.
Working life and staying low key, which is what Kris Jenkins is also about, staying out of the mix.
No, 100%. Got to stay out of the mix. But you're actually kind of jumping into the mix in terms of the sort of the NIL conversation, which I love that it's coming from you, and I'll explain why. But you're the founder. You started the Kris Jenkins Initiative. Basically, you're going around to colleges, high schools, talking about how to maximize NIL, sharing your story. 2016 was the year where now you can start to receive sort of compensation with how the NCAA is going with rewarding past athletes in this certain time frame with NIL benefits and rev sharing. So you have a very interesting perspective, man. Was what I just explained the kind of reason why you felt like you needed to start this?
No, absolutely. I appreciate you for doing that as well. I definitely feel like that was a big reason on why I wanted to start my initiative and help the student athletes and the athletes directly, because I feel like I'm still young enough to where they probably would consider me a little cool, but I'm also old enough to where I could give them some knowledge and some game about how to continue to navigate through these ins and outs, because it is a new space and everyone needs the knowledge. And the knowledge isn't just give me a bunch of money so that I could just be on about my merry way, because that is a part of it, but it's not the end goal. And the athlete should always keep that in mind, because that's very, very important for what you want to continue to become moving forward in your career, whether that's playing or being a professional in the workspace.
Yeah, 100%. I like that you mentioned you're in a very sweet spot right now with your age, right? You're young enough to where like, you can relate with the guys and like chop it up, and you probably know some Gen Z stuff and all this, you're probably filled in. But you're old enough to where you have some perspective now. Like you've seen some stuff.
And no, absolutely. And I also want to continue to let these guys know is that you want to play or you want to be something beyond your 4 years in college. So you want these 4 years of college to build relationships and to help you financially moving forward, to put you in a good spot so that you can continue to grow. It's always just about getting information and growing and becoming better and not becoming stagnant. You know what I'm saying? And now with athletes being able to, some guys are seniors in high school with NIL deals and they're making money from the universities that they're getting ready to attend in that upcoming year.
Wow.
Crazy space to navigate in, but it's also a great space because you could change not only your family, but your entire family around you, their lives, but you could do it the right way and build great relationships so that you could bring everybody up with you. And that's also what it's about, pulling up as many people and putting them on to as much game as you can too, because if we all help each other, just look and see how much further that we can all grow and go together, because that's what the goal is at the end of the day, is just helping each other out and realizing that, we still need each other. Everybody needs someone, and getting that information, passing it down, or you can help people, because I also want to help the Villanova guys that played before me, because I just don't want to look at it and say, hey, Kris Jenkins can do this. Oh, yeah, I'll be compensated for this. But I feel like it was so many people that helped me along my journey at Villanova that I would feel wrong if I just got money and then some of these guys were just left out to just fend for themselves. I wasn't that kind of player, and I wouldn't want to be that kind of person off the court as well. I've never been that kind of way.
Yeah, 100%. So I look at it as like now with NIL, every athlete is an entrepreneur if they'd like to be. And so how do you become a successful, manager of your brand and of your journey at an age 16, 17, 18, 19, man? That's a crazy young age, but now the floodgates have opened. So I'll ask you first, like 2016, Kris Jenkins, like how are you navigating NIL? Who's around you? What are you looking to get involved in? Whether it's, and there's no, just whatever your preference is. Is it starting a company? Is it brand deals? How does Kris Jenkins navigate his NIL in 2016?
That's a great question. I think the first thing that I would do is just my family and I, we would probably talk to just reassure each other that, we're in a good space. Like we're in a space of like, okay, what do we want to do? Like we don't need these certain things. So let's keep that in mind, because a lot of people may be looking at it from a perspective of, okay, I need this. And we didn't necessarily have to have that outlook on it. So that would have been my first thing, was probably just sit with my family and just get certain ducks in order and talk about certain information and just make sure that we're all on the same page, because that's very, very important, navigating in a space where it's life-changing deals coming into play. But it probably would have been me touching in a little bit of everything, though. Because of personality and wanting to do TV stuff and be around that, I probably would have been trying to do commercials for sure.
Yep.
So marketing, branding. I definitely would have tried to get a little T-shirt, clothing line company or whatever have you. I probably would have tried to get a little slogan, just things to grow my brand and my name kind of outside of the school, but while also respecting what we had going on here at Villanova, because it's because of what we did at Villanova as to why all of these things would have been possible. So that would have always been the number one priority, keeping that sacred and doing whatever it is that we needed to do to be at the level that we needed to be at, so that we could appreciate all the things that came with it.
You know where my mind was headed? Kris Jenkins, Dave & Buster's, your big shot's coming. And they're paying you to do pop a shot in that thing, bro.
Hey, we might gotta get Dave & Buster's on here. Hold
on. Wait a second. Come on now. Arizek, come on. I got ideas too. Come on, champ. Kill Bob.
You on to something? We gonna have to talk about that, baby.
Yeah, come on now. That's what I would have. That's where my mind was headed with the brand deal. The brand deal side of things. I'm always thinking about how folks like yourself could really leverage that. Yeah, and it's like, but you don't know, and it's funny because you don't know that moment's going to happen. You spent years at Villanova before that ever happened, right? So how do you set up, like, assuming that NIL was legal, NIL was a thing when, straight when you're coming into college. Man, what are you seeing on your end? Is it hard for guys to keep the main thing these days, or where are we with that?
I honestly believe that it's just different. I wouldn't say that we have a hard time keeping guys focused on being good basketball players because we still see, guys play at extremely high levels. It's just we have to educate them on, okay, listen, this is more so a business now than it's ever been. So you have to understand that this is a year-to-year process, whether that's how you want it to be or not. So going into it, it would be crazy or naive to think, okay, oh, I can do it like this. And no, you have to attack it what you know the situation is. Listen, this is a year-to-year thing. They can take my scholarship at any time. That, you know what I'm saying? So it's all these factors that play into it, especially with now money being involved. So why would you not come into school prepared, in shape, ready to go? Why would you not come uh, working on your body so you know that you don't get injured because your best ability is availability? Because all those things factor into it. Because you don't want to find yourself on the outside looking in. I'm pretty sure that's a tough situation to be in. Somebody who was prominent or had this amount, and then these things happen, or you didn't capitalize how you were supposed to, and then now you're looking at a completely different situation, not to your liking. And then now it comes back to what we were talking about earlier. What kind of attitude are you going to have? Are you at a crossroad?
Man, that's a good point that you bring up, that the fact that, like, man, like, dudes are getting fired out here. I think people, think about the transfer portal, and I have my problems with it, which I'll get into, but a lot of the transfer portal is guys getting pushed out by their schools. I mean, you are in a 1-year contract. And how do you keep your job and keep your spot or maximize your spot? It's just different.
And guys have to also remember that you have to still be coachable.
Yeah.
What situation you're in, no matter what scenario you're in, no matter what portal is this or that, like, you can't hold grudges or feel sorry for yourself. Not with everything that's at stake now.
Yeah.
There's less. Whereas when we were coming up, there was probably a little more margin for error when it came to things like that. Whereas to now, the margin of error is small. Because like you said, not only are players getting fired, coaches are getting fired too. When coaches, all of this is going on, this guy transferring, that guy coming in, these expectations, you don't perform, you're getting fired as well.
But I do you also see on the other side of it, if like a player got, if the player's getting paid an obscene amount, like, does the staff feel compelled to play them and look past some of the attitude issues that might come with that, or the baggage that comes with that?
No, I absolutely feel that, but my answer to that would be, I feel like that went on even without NIL being involved.
Yeah.
Like, coaches always had favorites. This isn't new.
And they always paid players. Let's be real about that.
Coaches always had certain favorites that they had, guys that they gave longer leashes to.
Yep.
That's a part of the game. But then again, it always comes back to, okay, what kind of attitude are you going to have? Are you going to sit here and cry and complain that, oh, well, coach lets him turn the ball over 2 or 3 more times than he lets me do it? Well, how about we just not turn the ball over at all?
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to.
No, 100%. Do you think the pendulum in NIL swung too far right now?
That's a great question. I don't want to say it swung too far, because for so long, the NCAA was able to just capitalize on, certain language and certain contracts and certain paper and this and that. So I don't want to say it swung too far. It's just we kind of do need to have some kind of regulation to it. But this is what you get when you've done business for so long wrong.
Mm.
And I don't want to say it's kind of the NCAA's fault, but they play a very, very big hand in this in a way.
No, they do. Absolutely.
So it's kind of hard to say that it swung too far when back in the day people couldn't get a McDonald's sandwich without it being a violation. So it's just kind of tough. So I just think we just need to be smart about it. The gentlemen and the women that are receiving these NILs, they need to be educated on, tax brackets and incomes. They need to be educated on all of that because it's a part of it and it's real. So now these college courses, some of these universities might have been able to get away with giving guys certain classes. Maybe those classes need to be on how to invest and manage money now, or for that. That's what it comes down to. So it's all about not only giving money, but give the resources as well, because we don't want to hear about these stories about how guys went broke after 4 or however many years of NIL. Give the resources as well as the money.
I think NIL is great, but I must say this again. I think the transfer portal is killing college athletics. I think that rule they had where you had to sit out a year, maybe that's not the best rules in place, but it certainly prevented the mass transfer epidemic that now we're seeing today. And I do have a problem with college sports turning into free agency. Like, get your bread at your school, get your money up at your school, become an entrepreneur, make sure the collectives are paying you. But to transfer to one school each year for 4 years or 5 years and, salary hop, they say, oh, well, that's what people do in the workforce. Fantastic. Then let's stop calling them college athletes. Let's call, start calling them employees, right? So I think guys should make as much as they're worth. I do think the transfer portal has kind of ruined college sports a little bit.
Yeah, so I do feel like college athletes are, in a way, employees, in a sense. No question. Employees, ambassadors for the university, all of those things. Because athletes play just as much of a part in students wanting to attend the university as, say, the business building some places or the communications building. You know what I mean? So I do feel like you can say that they are employees in a way, which is why with this lawsuit that's getting ready to be settled between the NCAA and the Power 5 schools that pay the athletes, all of that stuff is being figured out. They're coming up with a salary that they could pay student athletes, just solely athletes, up to a certain number. So it is going to come to a point where they are going to be compensated as if they are employees while still receiving an education and playing collegiate sports. I feel like the NCAA, I feel like that was just the name. That was never the work being done.
Yeah. No, it was just the label, the student athlete label. I can see where you're coming from there. I think here's my real internal motivation here. I think, and this better than almost anyone, continuity matters for both sides, man, for the fans and the players. Personally and professionally, you stayed at Villanova throughout your whole time. You developed relationships. You got close with the alumni. You ended up going and back and working there. You got an education. At the same time, from an entertainment perspective, people got to know Kris Jenkins. Oh, he's back with Nova. Oh yeah, they got Kris coming back. The TV deals are okay. When we put college basketball games on national TV, Do we know what we're going to get next year? They have to make the schedule like a year out, like, far in advance. Oh, we know he's coming. Okay, so both sides benefit, I truly believe, from continuity. And that's what I think the transfer portal is taking out of college athletics. And so for the enjoyment of the game and for the development of the student athletes, the development of the employees, whatever you want to label them, that's my biggest thing right there is continuity. I think it matters.
Major part. That plays a major part in winning at a high level. So I agree. But now more than ever, I feel like it forces the coaches to be better coaches and to be more legit in what they're saying and telling their players. Because you can't sell this guy a dream now. You have to tell him the truth, and you have to really believe in him, because he's going to see that and he's going to take that into account at the end of the year when it's time for him to make a decision. If you want me to stay, you do have to give me maybe not as much money, or you have to get me in the same ballpark, or if you can't match the number, you have to give me opportunities to match the number. There's ways that coaches and universities can show and keep continuity. It's just going to force them to dial in maybe a lot more than a lot of them may want to.
Okay. All right. This is where I like that, because college coaches are some of the best bullshitters on the planet. They say they're going to develop you, and then they go recruit a 5-star and replace you. That's the business.
No, we love our coach, but I can say I have seen, just looking around, scaping the land, I have seen that a lot of other coaches, a lot of other places do say things that maybe they don't follow through with.
I mean, does player development matter anymore? Are coaches turning into general managers? I mean, these are you tell me. You're closer to it than I am.
That's a great question. I honestly feel like they're in a spot where they have to do both. And that's where it comes back to, they have to be better coaches, because a part of recruiting now is being a general manager in a way. That's a part of the new landscape across the nation. It's not just in one area or with one team. Everybody's going through all of this. It kind of levels the playing field a little more, I feel like, but you have to be more legit. You have to be better at your job. You have to spend more time. You have to make more sacrifices. That's what it comes down to, I feel like.
Yeah. So what are you telling your Villanova guys, the young guys that are coming as the freshmen, right? Like, how are you telling them to navigate? Like, how do you tell them to navigate this? What's like some of your typical advice?
Well, my first thing is to always remind them that you should always let your game be the driving force for whatever it is that you're trying to do with this NIL space. So you should still be working at your game, working on your body at an extremely high level, because at the end of the day, no one's giving scholarships and NIL money to a player who's not good.
Yeah.
So have that fear to work on your game. So that is always one of the first things that I tell these gentlemen and these young ladies, is to perfect your craft. Go to the gym. I'm not telling you not to play Fortnite or Call of Duty. I'm telling you to do both. You can do both. You can work out 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day, and you can still play all the video games in the world that you want. I firmly believe that. I have former teammates that make a lot of money playing basketball that do just that.
Yeah.
That's before they became family men and got married and started having children. But it can be done.
I would argue they have time for the third thing, which is basketball, Fortnite, and time to brainstorm their own business.
Absolutely. And that would have been my next thing, was to make sure that you have a great support system around you. Whether you're navigating NIL or not, you always want to have solid individuals around you that can give you great advice, but can also listen to you when you have something to say yourself.
This is why I think when we give the advice and tell athletes, man, you never know who you're sitting with in the classroom. You don't know who your classmates are going to be after you leave and what they're going to do. So be nice, right? If I was the star player at Santa Clara, which I wasn't, but if I was averaging a certain amount of game and I had NIL pouring into me, I would have teamed up with a classmate who had the entrepreneurial spirit and became business partners. On what? I'm not sure, but to have someone help me or help us create t-shirts or help us, help me, really maximize what we're doing or help make investments. And I think every college athlete that thinks they can seriously maximize this thing should have a guy or a business partner with them on campus. That's my intuitive advice I would give someone. Who's your guy? Who's your guy you can trust? And who's your guy that's at the end of the day is still going to rock with you because of you? You not see you as a cash cow.
Oh man, I have so many, man. I've been fortunate. I still have my best friends from Gonzaga who I went to high school with. I still have some of my great friends who I went to the modern day school with, middle school in Bethesda, Maryland. Tavon Blackman, my best friend, we hooped together in high school at Gonzaga. Obviously, my brother Nate, Charles Glover, we all went to Gonzaga together. And then, I have Matt Kennedy here. He was a walk-on here at Villanova. There's just so many people that I can name, man, that are just legit human beings. Like outside of everything that's going on, like at the end of the day, man, I can call them for a good conversation, some laughs, some advice, some constructive criticism, which is also important throughout this whole thing because we can all learn and grow, and that's a big part of it. Keeping individuals around you that hold you accountable.
That's a big, yeah.
But it's awesome, man. That's so great that you said that, finding a business partner on campus, man. That's so awesome and such a great idea to have. But I got another one for you. How about for continuity and team morale and team spirit? Coach Wright did a great job in telling all of us certain guys like, yeah, you're going to go to the NBA, you're going to do this and you're going to do that, but take some of these guys with you.
Yeah.
Like you're good enough that you could take some of these guys with you. And when I say that in the NIL space is not only could you have a business partner throughout the school and y'all could do things, but how about bringing some of your teammates along as well? Like, look, I could help and get you some money and give you money out of my pocket, but look, how about we do this right here and this play that's going to help us all get some money.
Yeah.
And then some team morale and continuity right there. So now we all invested, not only on the court, but now we got business riding on this too. You can't go nowhere. Like if that's how you want to look at it, I'm just saying. Like that's just a little look into it. Like there's so many avenues that you can go about this thing. It's just doing it the right way or with the right people, which is why we were talking about that earlier. It's so important.
Yeah. I think, I feel like the transition from high school to college is kind of the last time, if you're a big time, especially if you're a big time hooper, where you have a bunch of people around you that just kind of liked you for you. And then, once it turns into college and it, like you have guys, when you talk about you need people that can hold you accountable, I still see, Kris, too many yes men around these guys' circles. Way too many yes men and guys that should be friends, but shouldn't be making some of these pivotal decisions because they're never going to tell you no. And I think this is still something that I see guys struggle with in and out around the league. And with NIL, like now it's starting earlier. Like you need guys that can tell you no, and it's hard to tell a guy no because you've been rocking with him for a long time, but relationships and things change.
No, and again, this is why it's so important for us to have these conversations because a part of this whole thing is you got to have uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah.
That's the part that you'll never be able to avoid. And the people that try to avoid it are the ones who go through the trouble and have all the yes men and things of that nature because you can't have all of the success, have all these things going for you and not have the uncomfortable conversation. It go hand in hand.
No, it's and NIL is making kids grow up a lot faster.
Absolutely. You got some people become the breadwinners of their family at 17, 18.
I mean,
But
that's a tremendous amount of responsibility.
it is. It is. It is. It's tough. Nothing about what we're talking about is tough. I mean, it's easy. I'm sorry. Nothing about what we're saying is easy, but it's the reality. So, do we want to deal in how we want it to be, or are we going to deal in the reality of the situation? Like, okay, this is how we had to navigate, and this is what we had to do. And we have to cross our T's and dot our I's and have these conversations. And if we don't, that's when more of the bad things could possibly happen.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
It's just, man, it's how it is. Man, let's make sure I touch on this subject, man. And I know I want to go back to it. Portal bidding. What is now? I want to hear it from your perspective, because even though I'm not around it, I've seen some shit, and I can't believe how much players are going for in the portal. What's been some of the craziest bidding you've seen, and what guys are getting going to a school?
Honestly, I haven't. I try my best not to. I try my best not to pocket watch. I honestly don't. Like, maybe you'll hear, like, if it doesn't come across a sports news headline, then I probably won't see the number.
Okay,
So
since all right, I'll go then. Since you don't got it, look, bro. Look,
I don't want to misspeak. I honestly don't know.
Okay, so here's what I saw, and here's what I know.
So this is going to be my first live honest reaction right here. So we live, we lit.
Pac-12. I mean, Pac-12 is kind of RIP, but previously the Pac-12 player who at the time last season was averaging single digits, triple single. Shout out Charles Barkley. $500,000.
Wow.
Didn't make the tournament. School, the team wasn't good. Like, this is what's going on right now. It's
what you can negotiate. It's what you can negotiate.
It's crazy, man.
One thing we all know, being sports fans, we see it in professional sports free agency all the time. It's about being free.
Yeah. No, for sure.
About being free.
For sure. Well, Kris, to end it off, I got a couple audience questions. We were tweeting out what questions we should ask you on the show. So I got to give some shout outs, and I don't know if you see some of the questions, but I got some stuff for you.
Okay. I'm ready to be here.
Okay, this one. Okay, I'm gonna start off with the easy one first. My boy Kyle asked, "What were the emotions when you hit the shot?"
Shout out to Kyle. That's a great question. Honestly, man, my first emotion was, everything happened so fast. So my first emotion that I could remember, like right in the moment, was being at the end of the pile. So my first emotion was just like, can everybody get up?
Yeah. Suffocating.
That's honest emotion right there.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Second, number 2, the boy, Malcolm Lemons. Ask him about how I taught him everything he knows.
Yo, shout out to my guy Lemonade, man. Yo, Malcolm. So my freshman year, I met Malcolm at we went to Gonzaga together.
Yeah.
My freshman. And basketball, just learning the knowledge, the wisdom. He was a senior. I obviously knew him before that for playing DC Assault and things like that, but the wisdom and the knowledge to be around somebody every day, the competitive nature, because I love to compete. That's one thing I loved about playing basketball, was just the opportunity to compete against someone else.
Yeah.
So against him, freshman year and stuff like that was lit, man. I appreciate him.
My guy, shout out Malcolm, man. Thanks for supporting us, brother. Well, man, this has been super dope, man. Another great episode of the Athletes and Assets podcast. I'm your host, Noah Lack. Just had a great conversation with Kris Jenkins, former Villanova legend, current NIL speaker, founder of the Kris Jenkins Initiative. Kris, man, really appreciate you joining the pod, and hey, welcome to the community.
No, thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it. It's definitely been an honor, and we locked in, man. We family now. We're gonna be in contact. We're gonna be talking about so much more to come. So again, man, thank you so much for having me. God bless y'all.
Hey, this is one of the better parts of the podcast. The good stuff happens offline, man. That's where the business happens.
Fly Eagles fly. Come on,
yeah.
y'all.